Morning, everyone.
Morning, Rabbi.
Good morning.
We are learning Mishna Kiddushin, Perek Gimel, Chapter 3, Mishnah Tes, Mishnah 9. Okay. Mi sheyesh lo shtei kitei banos, mishtei noshim. A man has two sets of daughters from two wives. And the situation is he married, woman A, had two daughters. She passed away. And then he married another woman, and she had two daughters. So you have two sets of daughters, with one set being older than the other set, right? Each member of the first set is older than the second set. The Amar, and the person said, Kidash yes bitya gedola. I accepted Kiddushin for my older daughter. Bitya gedola, translated as my older daughter. The Eini idea, but I'm not sure. Okay? Meaning, what happened here is, again, he was makabel Kiddushin. And when he was accept Kiddushin from a man, he said, "You are, I'm marrying. I want you to marry my older daughter, And you, at the time, you had in mind who you meant, but now you don't remember. You do remember that you called her, you referred to her as your older daughter, but you don't remember though who exactly you had in mind, because, as we will see, older daughter can fit more than one girl in this case. Why is that? He says, I accepted Kiddushin for my older daughter, any idea, but I don't know if I meant the older of the older set of the older ones, meaning the older of the oldest ones, or the older one of the younger set of daughters, or the younger one of the older daughters, who is older, or the younger one of the older daughters, she's older than the oldest of the younger ones. You get it? The point.
He should have used the name.
Thank you. He did. The problem is he can't remember which name he used. And the only thing he remembers is that he said my older daughter. So he's saying, what does older mean? Older can mean a number of things in this situation. Older can mean the oldest of all the daughters. Older can mean the older one of the younger set, or it can mean the younger of the older set, but she's older than the other two. So therefore, we don't know exactly which one he means. Therefore, at the end of the day, kulan asurais, they're all going to be forbidden, chutz min aktana shebektanis, other than the youngest one of the younger set. Because there's no question that she's not the older one. There's no one to compare her to call her the older one. So the youngest of the youngest set, she is unquestionably not Mukadeshes. Divrei Rabbi Meir, these are the words of Rabbi Meir. Now, the thing is like this. What we have to bear in mind is that, let me read here from the bottom. Now, since any one of them might be betrothed to the man who gave the Kiddushin, not meaning then he had 3 out of 4, none of them may marry anyone else, right? I don't know. Are any of these girls married or not? He says I was a Mekadesh, one of them. We believe him to say that he did so, but we don't know which one. So can they marry anybody else? No, they can't marry anybody else. However, none of them may marry that man either. Meaning that man that we know who made the Kiddushin, we just don't know who he made Kiddushin on. None of them may marry that man either, because she might be not his wife, but his wife's sister, who is forbidden to him. Right? These are all sisters. All right. So any one of them could be his wife, and it could be his wife's sister. Can't marry his wife's sister. Thus, none of the daughters may marry until she receives a get from him. Right? They can't marry anybody. They can't marry this guy. They can't marry a different guy. All of them need a get from him. Now, even after he gives each a get, he may not marry any of them, because each one might be the sister of a woman he divorced. A man is forbidden to marry his wife's sister even after he divorces his wife. Your wife's sister is forbidden to you even if you divorce your wife. So therefore, in this case, even after he divorces them, he can't marry them. Because each one, again, if each one was the sister of his wife, so now he can't marry them either because they are the sister of his ex-wife, who is just as forbidden as to him as when he's married to her. The only time your wife's sister becomes permissible to you is if your wife dies. But otherwise, you're forbidden to your wife's sister no matter what. So therefore, even after he divorces them, they can marry somebody else now, but they can't marry him. So Divrei Rabbi Meir, these are the words of Rabbi Meir. This is Rabbi Meir's opinion. Rabbi Yossi Omer, Rabbi Yossi says, okay, Rabbi Yossi Omer, Rabbi Yossi says, one second. Okay. Kulan mutares chutz min hagdolos shebigdolos. They are all permitted except for the oldest. When the man says, my older daughter, the Gedola, the older daughter, he means the one who without question fits that description. That is the clearest meaning. My older daughter, right, would be understood as the oldest. That would be the clearest. So therefore, they explain like this. According to Rabbi Yossi, a person would not put himself into a situation that might lead to confusion. Therefore, we can presume that when he said the older daughter, he meant the one who is without a doubt, the oldest. That means when he first received Kiddushin, and he told the man, I'm taking Kiddushin, you're marrying my older daughter, he would not refer to a daughter as older if it could possibly lead to some kind of confusion at the end, who is this older daughter. And therefore, when he used the word Gedola, he definitely meant the word Gedola, which without a doubt means the oldest. And therefore, the one that is for sure is the one that was without doubt the meaning of his description as older. That's the only one who is Mekudeshes. That's Rabbi Yossi's opinion. So we have Rabbi Achlekes, Rabbi Meir, and Rabbi Yossi. Now, another point that they bring out here is that this whole case with all these daughters, this case is either where all the daughters are minors, meaning all of them are of the age that he could have married them off, or all of them are adults who made their father an agent to accept Kiddushin on their behalf. Okay, either way, meaning what's the scenario here that he can make Kiddushin on any of them? The answer is they're either all minors, meaning they're all either under the age of 12 and a half, or even if they're above, if they all made him an agent to accept Kiddushin, then he can accept Kiddushin for all of them. If some were minors and others were adults, only the minors would be included in the doubt, as the previous Mishnah taught. We had in the previous Mishnah, there was a question, who did a man marry off? His minor daughter or his adult daughter? We assume the minor, because the minor is the one he has a mitzvah to marry off. He has a responsibility to marry off. And therefore, in this case too, if you were talking about a mixture of minors and adults, the only ones under question would be the minors. Okay. Now the Mishnah is going to give a repeat of the first scenario, but instead of talking about my older daughter, now it's going to be my younger daughter. Hidashti espiti akatana. I received Kiddushin for my younger daughter. Ve'eni yoidea im katana shebektanis. But again, I don't know if when I refer to her as the katana, as the younger, did I mean the youngest of the younger set? Oy katana shebigdoilis, or the younger of the older set? Oy gedoilis shebektanis, or the older of the younger set? She katana mina katana shebigdoilis, who is younger than the youngest of the older set. So any one of them can fit the description of katana, younger. Therefore, kulan asurais, they're all forbidden, chutz min hagdolos shebigdolos, other than the oldest of the older of the oldest ones. She for sure doesn't fit into the word younger, and therefore there's no question about her. She is not included. She is not going to be considered married to this guy, or questionably married to this guy. Rabbi Meir, these are the words of Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Yossi says, Kulan mutarais, they are all permitted to marry, chutz min haktana shebektanos, other than the youngest of the youngest set. Again, a person would not put himself into a situation that might lead to confusion at a later point, and therefore, when he referred to the daughter as the younger, he meant the youngest of all of them, the youngest of the youngest set, because that one is without doubt can be described as the younger one. Have a wonderful day and a wonderful Shabbos.
Thank you, Rabbi.